You are listening to Living with ADHD and CPTSD, available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Living with ADHD and CPTSD. Today is the last ADHD episode for 2022, and I'm going to talk about something that's personal for me now, and the difference between having ADHD as a single person and having ADHD and being with a partner. It's quite a difference because not only has you, if you're with someone, not only do you have to be responsible for your own, whatever you do in daily life as a single person, now you also are responsible for another person in your behaviors and your actions. Because if you pay rent and your partner, let's say the two of you are renting a place or owning a house and you have to pay your mortgage or your rent, and of course that means that you pay your portion and she pays her portion, and then of course utilities and whatever else, like bills, like if you've got a car payment or a cell phone payment, all that kind of stuff, then you have to be responsible and make sure that you are working and making your payments, or at least have the finances, taken care of, so that nothing goes wrong and you don't miss payments and then start having issues financially with the bank. So I'm going to first discuss what it's like to have ADHD as a single man or woman. Obviously, me being a man, I really can't discuss a woman's point of view, but I'm sure there's some similarities. So this will strictly be from a man's point of view, I guess you could say. Okay, so you're a single person, you're living on your own, and you're paying rent, or if you're having a really good job, let's just say, and you own a condo or a house, congrats if that's actually the case. But let's say you're paying rent on an apartment, one-bedroom apartment, and you have a car, you've got a job, and so you have to, live your life, make sure you're able to remember to do the things that are required in order for you to continue having that apartment and having that car. So you got to pay your monthly rent on time. You got to pay your car payments on time. Obviously, you're going to have like internet, possibly TV bill. You're going to have a cellular bill. You're probably going to have other bills as well that you pay on a monthly amount. And then, of course, you're the sole provider. So that means you have to pay and buy groceries. And you have to remember that you've got food that you have to cook and that you've got leftovers. You've got to be aware of what you currently are in stock of and what you need. There's a lot of things, obviously, that you as a single person have to constantly take care of by yourself in order to survive in a day-to-day world. So let's discuss this. A lot of people, and it varies depending on who you are, have symptoms that can get in the way of living a successful and manageable life. We often forget about things. We have the intention of taking care of it, whether it's, going to meet a friend or going down and getting groceries and realizing that you've got certain items that you have to purchase and making sure that you remember to do it. You go to the grocery store and like I used to, when I lived on my own, It was about a year and a half ago. I, of course, bought groceries just for myself, and I did buy some food occasionally for my partner who would come over, and I would cook, or we would cook together and make our meal. And I had to make sure that I remembered how, what I needed, like, do a search through the house and say, okay, what do I need to get? What am I short of? What am I out of for groceries or for accessories or spices or what, like whatever is needed. And you go and you say, and you look in your fridge and you look in your cupboards and you go, okay, this is what I need. I'm out of this. I need this. I'd like to get that this week. And most people, just for the sake of being thorough and certain that they're not going to forget, will put or create a list, whether they write it out on paper or they put it in their phone. And they have a list, like an actual shopping list that they can update every day, and then remove the items as they're purchasing them at the store. Now, I remember I used to do that at first. I used to make sure I had a list of everything I needed, and I would go to the store and check them off. And then what I started to do is, because I was doing it for so long and I had such a routine down, and I was really not doing much as far as a variety, is I never really had to worry about that. So I stopped making a list. And to be honest, that was not a good idea. And you never think about until after, or, you're driving away and in your brain, you're kind of thinking to yourself, did I get everything? And sometimes I went, oh, damn it, I forgot that. So if it was really important, then you drive back, turn around and go back to the store and you get it. Although if it was something, unless say you're halfway home and you realize that it's not that big of a deal, you just go home and say, all right, I'll get it the next time I'm out. But typically I probably did not remember, and I didn't go back, or like for the rest of the week. So I just went without. Because that was the thing. More often than not, there would be one, maybe two items that I needed or I was really short on, and I decided, or, I didn't make a list, and then I went and got all the stuff that I remembered, and then I forgot that one or two items and didn't deal with it. Like I said, whatever, I'll just go the week without, no big deal. So I wasn't owning the fact that I had forgotten, right? Like I messed up again. So being on your own is a very big responsibility, because you're the only one who's responsible for this. If anybody else, no one else is going to take care of you. No one else is going to make sure that you're paying your rent on time or buying all the groceries and accessories that you need. Nobody else is going to do that. And the thing is it can really hurt your chances of being able to maintain a place to live, right? Because if you let's say you miss rent, let's say you forget to pay rent on the first, and your landlord is calling you saying, hey, where's my money for rent? There's you're going to go, oh, damn it. Right. Yes. Sorry. And then you write a check and you run it down to him, or you get on your phone and you do the transfer, and all right, you're fine. But the thing is there's only so many times that's going to occur before your landlord says, look, you can't miss your rent and you've been doing it too much. I'm sorry. I realize this is going to be tough, but I'm going to have to evict you because you're just not reliable. And that sucks. Like, at least today, and I don't know how many places necessarily, if it's a law, if it's legal, like, especially in the United States, I have no idea if there's a legal requirement to have something like automatic withdrawal, where, every first of the month, either your rent gets withdrawn from your bank account automatically without having to even think about it. But I'm sure there are some places that require you to hand deliver a check and they don't have automatic withdrawal. So in that situation, that makes it harder. So one thing I'd probably recommend, if you're having to rent a place and you have ADHD, find a place that has automatic withdrawal from your bank account so that you don't have to worry about making sure you pay your rent on time. Because if you're really bad at forgetting these things you're not good at making a list or reminders, it's not a good idea to start missing the rent payment more than 1 or 2 times, especially if it's within that first year of renting. You're going to look really bad. And then if you do get evicted and you're having to find another place, remember you have to you have to get a referral, and you have to explain why you're looking for a new place so soon. And not unless it's a place that's desperate for money and the guy needs money and he doesn't care who he rents to, there's a good chance that you're going to get a lot of rejections when it comes to rental applications, because they're going to see that you've missed rent a few times and that you're not exactly reliable, and you're not exactly going to get a great referral from the previous landlord if that's the case. So yeah, that's a good way of avoiding to have to worry about the rental payment. Now, in the majority of places that I'm aware of here, and like I said, I don't know how the United States works when it comes to utilities, if you have to pay it or if it's automatically taken care of by the landlord at your apartment or condominium apartment. But here, if it's a condo or like a multiplex or an apartment building, the landlords typically pay for the heat and the water and the electricity, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's the same thing. If you're renting a place and you're responsible for paying the utilities, again, make sure that you have the ability to do automatic withdrawal and automatic payment setups for the dates, so that when the time comes, it's not something that you have to worry about. Sure, you have to make sure you've got money in your bank account, but that's obvious. You don't really have to talk about that. Now, other things. So getting groceries. Now, the thing is some people have ADHD. A lot of us have this problem, and I guess you could call it the saying is out of sight, out of mind, which means that we'll go with the food. If let's say you make a dinner, or you order, or you buy like chicken or something, or food that you're going to cook, there are times where, and it often happens, when you put it in a fridge and you kind of basically forget about it. And that's where the out of sight, out of mind comes from. If you can't see it and you don't have visual reminders repeatedly to tell you, oh, there's this leftover food or there's this leftover drink that you've got to take care of, there's a good chance that you're going to forget about it and it's going to sit in your fridge and you'll never touch it. And a month later, you're going to look in there, you're going to be bored and you're going to be looking for something to eat or whatever. And you go and you say, oh, that's not good. That's rotten. And of course, now you got to grab it and throw it in the trash. And not only now have you wasted the food, you've wasted money on that, because instead of getting the most that you could out of that meal or that food item that you purchased, it's gone bad. Now you have to go buy another one. So now you're just wasting money on replacing that item. So this goes with everything, because unless you're only making stuff like craft dinner or stuff that's in a box that lasts forever, which, to be honest, not the healthiest choice, but I get some people don't exactly have an option when it comes to spending money on food because of how much money they make and their budget. But if you're cooking and you're making meals and you're buying stuff that only has a short lifespan or shelf life, like chicken in the fridge lasts for about a week, other items like that last around that time. They all have expiry dates, so you try to get that made before then. If you don't have any way of reminding yourself of that item in the fridge and you forget about it, then it's going to go bad and you're having to spend more money on food that's you don't necessarily have to do. So find a way to adapt, right? Like have a list, make a list on a piece of paper, post it on the fridge, have it just saying like easily visible. Don't put stuff over it, like make sure it's clearly on the fridge, make sure it's in the right view on your refrigerator, and have a list showing everything that you've purchased for the dates of the 1st to the 8th, right? A week's amount that you bought all this. Here's your expiry date. Please remember to use this as your food for the week. And when you use it and it's gone, check it off so that you're aware that that has been used and that you didn't waste it. Same with drinks, like same with buying juice or milk or other items that, you're going to open and put in the fridge and is going to expire. Make sure you have a list saying, okay, here, I purchased this 2 liter of milk. It has to be drunk by next week. And here's your expiry date. And make sure that it's there so you are aware that it's in your fridge and you've got to drink it before a certain date. Anything and all the other stuff. Like there's always going to be stuff that only can last for a certain length of time, right? So you've got to be really good at knowing expiry dates, making up, a list or showing on wherever it is, even if it's on your phone and on the kitchen, like in the fridge. The thing is it's to be honest, I get that you have your phone with you, but it is a lot easier to have it physically written, even if it's printed on the refrigerator, because you're going to walk by and every time you're going and saying, okay, I got to make my dinner or my lunch for the day, it's there. It's right in front of you. You can't miss that. And that's why it's easiest. Now you have to build a routine and a habit of making that list. You have to remember that this is where it gets a little tricky at first, is because you have to remember to do that. You have to make a reminder in your mind or on your phone or on the fridge or the door to make a list of the foods and put it on your refrigerator. There's so many ways to adapt. Like if there's I think I mentioned this in a couple episodes a long time ago. There's a lady on YouTube who makes videos, and she's got ADHD, and she's a very famous person, Jessica. She has How to ADHD. And there's a video of her showing her house and that it is ADHD friendly so that it helps her to remember or to, for visual aspects. It eliminates, for the most part, the out of sight, out of mind problem. So she showed her stuff, like her counter, and she had tons of stuff there, like all different containers with like foods and items and coffee and all the stuff that she uses on a regular basis. It's there for her to see visually so that it reminds her. It gives her visual cues and saying, right, yeah, okay, got this. Instead of being all hidden behind a door, like a pantry door, and having a hard time remembering, and then, end up going out and buying more of it when you didn't really need to. It's there. It's in front of you. So that's a perfect way of doing it. And if you happen to have the ability to take the doors on your on your cabinets, if you can replace that with glass doors, that helps, because at least you can see the items. It's if you can see what you're looking at, that is so much help, so much better. And there's all sorts of things, like you have to take care of your laundry, so you have to make a reminder You have to have a reminder on your phone, possibly multiple reminders to do your laundry. Make sure, and on top of it, if you're living in a place that has shared laundry, like, you don't have your own washer and dryer, it's likely you don't have it in your apartment, then you have to kind of have an idea. You got to remember when the laundry room is open, when it closes, so that one, you don't accidentally have your clothes locked in the room, right? Like I don't think there's too many places that only have access at a certain time of day. I'm pretty certain that it's 24 hours. But if that is the case, then make sure you know when it's open, and make sure you set reminders indicating how long your load's running for, when it's going to be done. Give a few minutes in between. Set another one for the dryer. Make sure you know how many loads you're doing. Give yourself plenty of opportunity to remember. And for God's sakes, don't leave the place when your laundry's running. Because if you get stuck, let's say you're driving, even if you're just going down to the grocery store, you don't know what could happen. There could be an accident that's blocking the road, or maybe there's something that delays you. Maybe you got a flat tire and you're in the parking lot. So now you either have to change it, or you got to call AMA to help to have them help you get the tire replaced. And now your laundry's sitting in the washer, and there's someone standing there going, what? And looking around and expecting the person whose laundry is in the washer to come by and take it out and put it in the dryer. And now you're basically making somebody else wait. So when you're doing stuff that requires a timer, just stay in the house or the apartment until it's all done. That way you don't have to think about that. And you don't have to worry about unexpected things coming up. Now, going to work. Clearly this is pretty straightforward, but it should be mentioned. Make sure there's an alarm. Make sure that you have your day-to-day, like your lunch set up beforehand. Like it's you could, if you want, make the lunch that morning before you go, but that basically takes away some of your time to relax and prepare for the day. So make your lunch at night, right? Like get it all put in a bag, all separated and ready to go. Put it in the refrigerator, and then you just grab it. But now you have to remember to grab your lunch in the morning when you leave. Unless you live like next door to your job, or you come home for lunch on a daily basis, which I know a lot of us do not do, you're going to have to spend money on lunch instead of because you forgot your lunch at home. So have a reminder. Have a reminder on your phone. Put a sticker, a note at the door saying, "Did you remember your lunch?" Put one in your car saying, "Did you remember your lunch?" You got to make sure that these things take care of themselves. So you got to do the adaptations so that you don't have these mistakes. And you could even put one on the door of the fridge, right? Like, because you're going to be grabbing, if you're having the cereal, you're going to be grabbing the milk, and you're going to see that, and it's going to remind you. But you got to have multiple things to remind you about, hey, don't forget your lunch. Don't forget your keys. Don't forget your coat, hat, gloves, whatever, right? Like something that you're going to be taking with you. Don't forget your work stuff. So there's all these little things that you have to make sure that you do to take care of yourself. So we've talked about rent and bills and groceries, food, and then work-related, lunch. So the only thing is just now remembering to take care of the place. You don't want to lose your damage deposit, obviously, because, if you don't clean or if you damage something, they're going to take that out of it, and you could probably get nothing back, which would suck. So make sure that you have a vacuum or borrow one or something, like you got to clean. So you got to you got to set up reminders to clean once or twice a week, depending on how messy your place is going to be. If you've got pets, you've got to make sure to remind yourself to clean their litter box, or groom. If you've got a dog, make sure you brush your dog so that there's you don't have a lot of hair. Make sure you remember to take them out on a regular basis for walks. You feed them in the morning, they're going to have to go out and go to the washroom. So you're going to have to remember to bring bags to pick up after them. You got to remember to feed them before you go to work. So you got to have reminders for all these things. To remember to feed your dog, to remember to take him out, remember to, when you get home from work, to feed him again or go for a walk, or right? Like you have to have things set up to make sure that you're reminding yourself of necessities that have to be taken care of to be able to live successfully on your own at an apartment. Now, when you're living with someone, it's pretty clear, and I don't really have to say in order to show you that when you're living with someone, the responsibilities are easier. The amount of stress and need to rely on remembering things and being responsible is not as great, because you do have someone who can help you remember these things and help you with cooking and groceries and financing and all that stuff. But don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that you have the right to take advantage of this. Just because you're with someone does not automatically say to you that you don't have to think for yourself and make choices and take the proper actions to avoid ADHD related symptoms from affecting your life and your partner's life at the same time. So you need to be responsible. You can't just rely on the partner to do these things for you. You can't rely on them to buy your groceries, or buy groceries for the both of you, to pay the bills, to make sure everything's running, to take the dog, if you've got a dog, out on a walk, to feed the dog, and like all the things that are required to live day to day. You can't just put it on her or him if that's the situation, because one, if your partner doesn't put up with that kind of stuff, it's not going to last long, and you're going to get in major shit for it if you do not do something, because they're going to think that you're just taking advantage of them and that you don't try and make an effort to make it work. And that's wrong. That's just stupid. That is very irresponsible and a very immature way of living your life, especially if this person that you're with is a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you love each other very much. That's just a bad way to live, and that is not fair to your partner by any means. So you need to, like the first part, you need to make choices and have adaptations present to help you. So again, it's not as important that you do everything, of course, because there is another person, but you do need to make sure you do your share of duties. You need to make sure that you're paying your amount of rent on time. Again, an automatic withdrawal really works. That's perfect. And I think that is a good way of doing it. And don't have to worry about it. Make sure that you have reminders to openly communicate with your partner on a regular basis, to ask questions, to, remind her too, or him, because, even neurotypicals don't always remember everything on time exactly 100% of the time. Sometimes they're busy and they have a lot going on, or maybe they're having a stressful day and they might forget. So you have to try and do whatever you can in order to make it work, right? So you got to have reminders. You've got to have physical reminders again, and phone reminders. You have to work out a method and a way of, openly communicating and talking to your partner on a regular basis to make sure that you're taking care of not only your part of the deal and of whatever you're doing, renting or paying mortgage, but you also have to make sure that your partner is aware and sees that you're making an active effort to remember and to make, adaptations in your life to make sure that those things that you're responsible for are taken care of, and that you're not forgetting or that they're not getting missed. It's really important that you do these things. And if you don't, you're most likely going to have a very short relationship, or you're going to end up, if you're married, getting divorced or splitting. That's no way to be. It's like, how great is that? So you really have to push yourself to have these things in place. Make sure you have an adaptations. Make sure you got reminders. Set up automatic withdrawals for as much as you can possibly do. Have lists. Work together with your partner. Make sure these things are done. Don't just think, oh, she'll take care of it. She'll do her own thing and I don't have to do too much, or that she'll always be the one to remember and that you'll never have to do that. It's not fair that if she has to be the one to always have to go, it's time to pay the bills, or it's time to pay rent, it's time to go get groceries, we need this for the week, we need to get that, we're out of laundry detergent, we need more soap for the kitchen. If it's always her having to make the comment and to verbally say it out loud, that again isn't fair. So you need to be the one. Like, I'm not saying it has to be you every single time, okay? This is not what I mean. But you have to take and do your share of these responsibilities and duties. So if you get up in the morning and it's the first of the month, if you haven't been told, don't just stand there and wait. Say something. Say, hey, sweetie, it's the first of the month. We got to pay rent, right? Yeah. Okay, great. And so she's going to be happy that you thought of it and that you mentioned it and that you're being responsible and proactive here. So that's perfect. That's what we want. And I think that's, if you can have that kind of active, proactive lifestyle, then to be honest, you should be able to avoid a lot of the pitfalls and agony and stress that comes from ADHD, because it's not easy. We're going to forget, we're going to get distracted and not complete things at home. We're going to make mistakes, and it could take a day or two or even a week to remember that we've forgotten something or that we've made a mistake. And how we handle it, ahead of time and in the moment can greatly affect the outcome and your future. So definitely do what you have to do. Make adaptations. Do the right thing. Remind yourself. Have stuff out in the open. Adjust your house or your apartment to make sure that you see everything that you need to see and the stuff that you need to do. Don't, make your life as easy as possible so that the ADHD symptoms that affect your life every day are less likely to interfere with being successful and stress-free. That's important. If you can do that, you're going to live a lot easier and a lot happier life, and it's going to be so much better for you and your partner, especially if you have a partner. So definitely do that. There's a lot out there you can look up too. So if you're needing help or advice or a list or things that you can do, go online and search for it. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. And there we have it. Another episode of Living with ADHD and CPTSD completed. I hope this episode was a good and informative episode for my audience members. This is something that I'm trying to make sure that everybody understands that is going to be helpful for them to avoid making mistakes that I've made in my life. If you found this to be a great episode, then there are a number of ways that you can help me out with my situation. You can go to patreon.com and look for Living with ADHD and CPTSD and become a member of my Patreon group. You could also go to ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com, and you can donate there. Just look for Living with ADHD and CPTSD. If you would like to contact me, if you've got some comments or feedback, or you just want to chat, there's a number of ways you can contact me. You can go to Twitter, and my handle is at ADHD and CPTSD, You can also email me. The address is livingwithadhdandcptsd@gmail.com. You can also go to my website, livingwithadhdandcptsd.ca, and you can contact me through there. I really hope this was a great episode for you guys. If you have any suggestions of future episodes, by all means, please get in touch with me. That's really it. I hope that my advice can be helpful for you and, make things better for everybody. All right. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.